Is the economy good or bad? I'm going to go with currently mediocre. We're not at our ideal, which they say is between 3 to 4%, because they think that that's where the frictional unemployment is, people coming in and out of jobs, and also realizing that you're not going to get everybody to have a job. However, so I'm going to go with mediocre, and I'm using this method. I'm using the unemployment rate because I think that that's going to best show the how people are able to provide for their families, spend money, and really bolster the economy. The more jobs we have, the better the economy can do because more people are able to spend money here or there. And so I did some research. I'm looking at the unemployment rates, and I got both. I got the country, the Tri Cities, because that's where I live in. Um, and I also got Washington because again I live in Washington. I realize that you yourself are in Oregon. Is in Oregon, um, but I live in Washington, so I care about Washington. No offense. Uh, so looking at the unemployment rate for the entire country, according to data.bls.gov, um, in the month of February, we were at a 6.7 unemployment rate, which is only 2.7% above the ideal, but it's still not great. But it's definitely not the worst in the last 10 years. If we looked at 2010, 2011, we were shooting 9.7, 9.9. 2011, we were at 9.1s, 9.0 unemployment rates, or for percentages of unemployment rates. So we're at a 6.7 in February, which is not exceedingly horrible. And then I go to state, and Washington currently ranks number 30 in the unemployment rate. We're at a 6.7 currently. Now North Dakota is got 2.7 unemployment rate. I have no idea how they're maintaining that, but that is phenomenal. And this was updated February 28th of this year, also at BLS.gov. Uh, so we're doing pretty good there. Not pretty good. 6.7. Again, we're maintaining with the country's average. The worst is at a 9.3 currently in Rhode Island. Nevada's got a 9.0. Illinois 8.9. So, I mean, we're about middle of the road for Washington, and it could be a lot worse, like I was saying. Now, this unemployment rate, the downside of using the unemployment rate is it's not really accounting for people who aren't using the government to try to find jobs. They're not currently seeking jobs. They're just sitting there collecting welfare. Actually, that should be marked in the unemployment if I would remember correctly. If you're collecting welfare, no, because you don't necessarily have to have a job to collect welfare, and you could have a job and collect welfare still. So it would just be reduced. Um, but I mean, we look at the unemployment rates because we're like, who's in the unemployment line, who's in the unemployment office trying to get jobs and stuff. They're required to turn in so many applications a week to try to get a job and get off unemployment. So, yeah, 6.7, middle of the road. We're not a 9.0, but we're not a 2 point. What was North Dakota 2.7? So, yeah, middle of the road, not too shabby. Then I looked at the Tri Cities itself, and at the end of December, the Tri Cities, December of 2013, the Tri Cities from, again, BLS.gov. It was a chart that I had a hard time reading, but it looked like I said 11.1%. Now that's not good. Tri Cities is not doing okay for unemployment. Our economy should be good. We've got a government site in the Tri Cities, Hanford site, that should be bolstering jobs. It bolsters the economy. I thought we had a good economy here, but looking at the 11.1, I'm like, no, that's not true. And honestly, we need to fix that. I have no idea what's going on and what's causing the lapse of our economy. It could be the current, the recent government let goes or layoffs, because Hanford had a lot of layoffs in the last year, so that could be upping our um, unemployment rate. But it used to be that Hanford really bolstered this economy and provided a lot of jobs. That's why the Tri Cities grew. But as Hanford's running out of chemicals to clean up, they don't need as many people working it. I mean, they're still making equipment and stuff, but a lot of the jobs were cleaning up the chemicals, and we still got a lot of work to do, but it's making progress. And B, the government doesn't have money to pay these employees anymore, and so they have to lay them off, especially when they're making $20 an hour plus, which I mean they should. They're doing a dangerous job, and who knows what can go wrong with me dealing with chemicals. But yeah, so we have a pretty bad unemployment rate. So the economy as a country, we're mediocre, somewhere in the middle. Washington itself, mediocre. I believe I saw Seattle had like a 5.3 percent unemployment, which isn't too shit, which is actually pretty decent for the current health of the country. And then we're at 11.1 here in the Tri Cities, which I would love to see that go down. It would explain why some of my friends cannot find a job currently. So, yeah. Now we're looking at also what are some ways I do not think the economy should be rated, and I'm going to look at the GDP primarily because we look at it. It doesn't take account for like um, under the table sales. It doesn't take account for the foreign or the countries, the U.S. Businesses that are abroad, but it does take account for the foreign businesses that are here, which those foreign businesses do supply a little bit of income, but I think a lot of it goes back overseas to where they are based out of, I should say. So the GDP, it's got its pros, and I would say it's fairly accurate, but it's not one that I would want to put all my money in. I prefer to see what are the people dealing with, not what's the government doing with. What are the people dealing with? How are the people affected? So that's why I like the unemployment rate method. So yeah, if I remember correctly, that's all of the questions. I shall double check before I close this video. Currently good or bad, it is mediocre. Um, high unemployment. Do you think there's methods? Um, so yeah, that's that's what I've got. I hope you enjoy, and if you give me good feedback, I like you. If you give me any feedback, I like to know what I've done, good or bad. So yeah, you rock. Have a blessed week. Goodbye.